At a bustling railway station, amidst the noise of departing trains and hurried footsteps, sat a beggar. His days were spent seeking alms from passing travelers, his only means of survival. One day, as the beggar was making his usual rounds, his eyes fell upon a tall man dressed in an elegant suit. Thinking the man looked wealthy, the beggar assumed he would receive a generous donation. He approached, extended his hand, and waited. But instead of giving him money, the man asked a surprising question. But instead of reaching for his wallet, the man looked at him and asked, "You always ask for something, but do you ever give anything to anyone?" The beggar was taken aback. No one had ever asked him this before. He lowered his gaze and replied, "Sir, I am just a poor man. I have nothing to give." The man smiled and said, "If you cannot give, you have no right to take. I am a businessman, and I believe in the principle of exchange. If you ever have something to offer, only then should you ask for something in return." Saying this, the businessman boarded his train and left. But his words remained, echoing in the beggar's mind. For the first time, the beggar asked himself, was he only meant to take, without ever giving? Was this why he received so little? That day, something shifted within him. He made a decision: if he must ask, he would also give. But what could a beggar possibly offer in return? For days, the beggar kept thinking. What could he possibly give in return? He had no money, no possessions, just an empty bowl and a life of asking. And then, one day, his eyes fell upon a small patch of flowers growing near the station. A thought struck him: what if he could give people something as simple yet beautiful as a flower? That day, he picked a few flowers and decided to try something new. As he asked for alms, he also offered a flower in return. The first traveler hesitated, then smiled and accepted the flower. To the beggar's surprise, the traveler's face lit up with joy. Instead of just dropping a coin in his bowl, he gave him extra money, more than what he usually received. Encouraged by this, the beggar started doing this every day. Whenever someone gave him alms, he would offer them a flower in return. And something incredible happened. More and more people started giving him money. For the first time in his life, the beggar understood the power of giving. He had nothing before, but now, by offering something as simple as a flower, he was receiving more than ever. But soon, he faced a problem. He had picked all the flowers near the station. And strangely, when he had no flowers to give, fewer people gave him money. This made him think, people weren't just giving him alms. They were paying for the flowers. And if flowers had value, what if he could sell even more? That day, he did something he had never done before. He took the money he had collected and went to the market, not to beg, but to buy flowers. It was his first real investment. With fresh flowers in his hands, he returned to the station. But this time, he didn't beg. He walked up to people and simply offered them flowers. And to his amazement, people bought them. Every day, he bought more flowers. Every day, more people came to him. What started as a small exchange of flowers had now become a real business. He was no longer just a beggar. He had become something else, a businessman. The same place where he once begged for survival was now the place where he thrived. One day, as a train arrived at the station, a familiar face appeared inside it. The same tall, well-dressed man who had once refused to give him alms. But this time, he looked at the beggar with curiosity. The man stepped off the train and walked up to him. But this time, instead of looking down on him, he smiled. The former beggar, now a businessman, offered him a flower. And this time, the man gladly paid for it. At that moment, he realized something. He was no longer a beggar at all. He had become a businessman, just like the man in front of him. And all it took was a shift in his mindset. As the realization hit him, he couldn't contain himself. He looked up at the sky and shouted with joy, and the very next day, the man who once begged at the station was gone. No one saw him there again. 6 months later, at the same station, two well-dressed men sat across from each other in a train. One of them smiled and asked. The other man hesitated, studying his face carefully. Then, His eyes widened as he finally recognized him. The former beggar chuckled and nodded. "Then," he said, he continued, his voice filled with gratitude. The businessman looked at him, then at the flower in his hand. A slow smile spread across his face as he realized the power of his own lesson. The former beggar nodded. He remembered every step of his journey, the first flower he gave away, the first real money he earned, and the moment he realized he was no longer just a beggar. As the train moved forward, so did their lives. Two businessmen, once strangers, now connected by a powerful lesson: success comes to those who learn to give. With a grateful heart, the former beggar spoke. His story wasn't just about selling flowers. It was about changing his mindset, about believing he was meant for more. The train moved forward, just like life. And with it, a lesson for all: success is not about where you start, but about how you see yourself.